All right, Zig coming in at the top of the interview today on the Scenic Route. They are playing May 23rd from Audio Bay Studios. It's a full band live stream. They are also releasing a new single June 19th on all platforms. The Scenic Route is a female-fronted alt-rock band that hits covers and originals out of Canton, Ohio. During this interview, we talk with Rachel, Sam, and Dom. And during the process of recording this, they're in the same room, so audio kind of bounces depending who is closer to their mic. And we got a really cool picture of each member of the band's musical history and musical history within their family, some of which the band didn't even know, so they were kind of like, what? And it was a lot of fun. They're a fun group, and they're doing a lot of cool things. We touched upon some innovative social distance performing. I'm going to play a bit of one of their songs. This is the song Same Old Ghost off their release Ghost from the Scenic Route. If you hear anything you like, you could check them out on Spotify and all the music streaming platforms. And if you hear anything you like with this podcast, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, and if you can rate, review, subscribe, comment, it helps us put the podcast up front so the artists can be heard. All right, without further ado, the Scenic Route.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Zig At The Gig podcast. I'm hanging out with the Scenic Route. How's it going, friends?
Going pretty good.
Awesome, yeah.
Can we go one by one, introduce who we got here?
I'm Sam, I'm the drummer.
My name is Rachel, I am the lead singer.
I'm Dom, I play guitar.
All right, cool. How's quarantine been for you guys?
It's been something.
We're trying to keep busy.
Yeah, it's a lot of me doing things that I would never do normally.
Yeah, like what?
Am I still busy? No, honestly, one of the cool things I've had time to start like a YouTube channel where I've been posting some drum covers.
Oh, cool.
That ordinarily I just would have no time for, so
Yeah.
that part's been kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely like time to knock out that thing where you never thought you would have enough time to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of been nagging at you for a while. And,
Trial period.
yes, yeah.
like especially with video editing, that's so tedious, you know?
Yep.
And like to get it to, I don't know, and the YouTube medium's so like just to navigate it, it's such a pain and such a different thing. And not, you know, like where Facebook or like any of the other mediums, you do your thing, you share it, people share it. On YouTube, you kind of yell into this void, and eventually if you keep yelling relentlessly, people are like, oh, I think I hear something. Like,
That's a pretty good analogy, yeah. Yeah.
I've had not too much luck with YouTube, so I get it. But that's awesome. What about you? Let's see. I kind of get a weird view right now. What else has been going on as far as like anyone else knocking off the bucket list of quarantine time?
Well, I figured out that because the only time I've been leaving my house is to go grocery shopping or to take my dog for a walk, that now every time I put my shoes on, my dog thinks she's going outside for a walk. And then I have to calm her down before I leave, which is adorable and sad, but you know.
when you actually start like doing normal things, it's gonna suck for her.
Yeah.
So.
It's gonna be so stoked all the time, like, ah!
Yep.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, my cats have been the same way. And I've been home so much, they're like, oh, this is sweet. You must be here to, feed us. And I'm like, no. And they start,
No, actually.
and they start screaming at me until I do. Pets and their poor perceptions of us are going to be so fried by the time this is all over.
Definitely.
You guys did a really cool, as far as quarantine jams go, you guys did a really cool, the drive-in show thing.
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
Well, we played, it was High and Low Winery's the place that we did it at.
Okay.
We had played with them for a couple of years, and basically just the guy in charge of it contacted us and said, hey, I want to do this thing where I want to start having drive-in concerts, and I love you guys, and I want you guys to be the first band to try it with. And so we didn't really expect it to go as well as it went, honestly, but we were just so excited to be able to go out and play because it's been so long.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, we all...
Oh, my gosh.
I remember Dom got out of his car and he's like, it's gig day.
I got a gig.
That's awesome.
But then just more and more people started pulling in, and people were honking their horns instead of clapping, which was adorable.
Yeah, Dom pointed out that it's better than applause.
It really is, yeah.
100% is, yeah.
At one point, we got worried because a cop pulled in, and we're like, oh no, they're going to shut us down. What's going to go on? And then the cop sat there for a while and was talking to somebody in a car, and then they left. And later, that person came up to give us a tip, and I asked them what the cop was talking about. And they were like, oh, the cop just really liked the Fall Out Boy song you were playing, so they pulled over to let us do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's awesome. I don't know what's more interesting that there's cops in the Fall Out Boy, or like
For some reason, like I can't exactly put my finger on it, but that doesn't gel for me. Like cops and Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, if you had to if I had to guess a cop's favorite type of music, I don't know what that would even be. You know what I mean?
I guess they like Sugar We're Going Down.
I
That's what I pulled over for.
I guess so, yeah.
It is a jammer of a tune. Solid tune.
It is a jam, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I saw the video of that, and I thought that was a really cool concept. I didn't know that was a winery, though. That doesn't make, did they have the big lot, or where did they...
Yeah, it's actually a really beautiful place. If you could ever go, I recommend it. It's essentially the main building is just like a giant house.
Yeah.
And then they have a smaller building that holds all of their equipment, and then the whole back area is all a vineyard. And so they also share a parking lot with a construction company, so they just have a giant lot that's all gravel.
Yep.
And so they had so much space to park people in there.
That's awesome.
And
yeah, there were probably 30 cars there, and they still had a ton of room.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, no, it looked packed, and I'm like, there has to be like a drive-in. What is that? You know what I mean? But that's crazy that they had that much room, and that's really cool that's such an innovative way to try to bring people in. I don't know if people were allowed to drink wine while they're in their cars. I don't know the legality.
Well, yeah, what they had is the people weren't allowed to get out of their cars, and then obviously because the inside wasn't open, people couldn't go to the restroom. But they essentially just people would come up, and they had waiters and waitresses running out to the cars because they can also sell food there.
Oh, okay.
And then so they would be like, hey, are you just picking something up, or are you staying for the concert? And if they're staying for the concert, everyone would be charged cover. And then they would take them out their wine and their food, and they'd just sit in their cars. Some people lifted up their back gates and sat back there. Some people just put their windows down. We had a bunch of convertibles and Jeeps sitting out there.
Yeah, we did.
But it was super fun. And then the proceeds got split between us and the wait staff,
so
that the wait
cool.
staff could get tips, and it was really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Have they kept up with it?
I don't know if they've done another one yet, but I mean,
thought they did. I thought they had one scheduled for. I think they had one scheduled for every Saturday. I'm not sure if they kept on doing them.
That's what they said they wanted to do, but I don't know if they did it or not.
Yeah, that's true. Well, because I think there's a lot of places, and we're actually just talking about this with her parents last night. A lot of places now are kind of afraid that they're breaking laws by having live music play and having people gather.
Yeah.
Because it's a really, really gray area.
Well, there's also so much information going back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I just today saw on Facebook that this one place was announcing that they were going to have outdoor entertainment, and then 2 hours afterwards said they had to cancel it because they were told they couldn't, and then 3 hours after that said, oh no, that's actually wrong, we are having it. So there's just so much conflicting information going around.
Yeah, there definitely is, and it's like how you said, there is that gray area, and what is okay and what's not okay is a big
absolutely, yeah.
And because something like that, you're distant, there's no one really involved with it really, and if everyone's taking the precautions and you guys are doing your thing, and it seems so and then I don't know if it's people calling out people for you know what I mean, or what it is, or if it's people that there can be a number of things going into it, and it sucks because it's almost like this virtuous signaling to some degree, but it's needed. You know what I mean? We got to be aware of what's, because sometimes you're not thinking, maybe I shouldn't pick that up with my mouth. I don't know. You know what I mean? You got a point there. Right?
Yeah, I keep seeing people wearing face masks, but then wearing them just here, right under their nose.
Yeah.
And at least they're trying, but I'm you gotta cover the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it works.
It's like that's
You're missing the purpose there, and like,
Yeah.
so there's that too, and like, but that being said, there's also a lot of space to be innovative and be creative and work around these boundaries, and
Yeah, absolutely.
that's always. It's something like that. What you guys did there is going to be exciting. It's going to be something like, whoa, can this even happen? It's happening. Whoa. And like, I think all around, like, even if it's a digital platform or like reworking the real platforms, like finding ways to be innovative and like conscious of all this social distancing and like making it okay for everybody. And it's such like I mean, it's a lot easier when things are laid out, but with this whole thing, nothing's been laid out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe we're going back to work. Maybe we're not going back to work. I don't know. You know, like, it's just, everything's in the big question mark. Everything's gray.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it, speaking of which, did you guys, was your work schedule affected? I mean, it had to have been, but are any of you guys...
Well, I have technically 2 jobs. It's this, and then I babysit 3 days a week. I watch kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not babysitting any. Like, I just started again because the parents started going back to work. But like for like a month, I wasn't getting like any income at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, same thing. I'm a musician primarily, and then in the summer I teach at a daycare.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to open the daycare in the summer, but I don't know if that's going to be guaranteed right now.
Yeah.
I at least have been talking to the camp director, and we might be able to do like digital classes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've just been basically buckling down and not spending any money, essentially.
Probably, definitely a good call. What grades, what ages do you teach?
I teach 2 age groups. I teach arts and crafts for the 5 to 7 year olds.
Okay.
And then I teach, this year I'm going to start teaching a fashion design class for the 12 to 18 year olds.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's going to be fun.
As my full gig is I'm a teacher. I'm a music teacher at a school for kids with autism. I teach pre-K to senior high. And
Nice.
Sweet, yeah. Nice.
Thanks. And like so that everything's been like thrown up in the air. And I know daycares, there might be a thing where daycares are coming back. But I know as far as like our summer, we do extended school year. That's not going to be that's going to continue to be digital as far as I'm aware. And
you said you work in special ed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my mom does. And
okay, cool.
They are technically essential since they work with special ed.
Yeah.
But what they've had to start doing is, she's the program director for the school. She comes in every day and basically writes all of her lesson plans and prints out all the work, and then their BMSs go to each kid's house and deliver their work to them, and then pick it back up the next day. And that's like how they've had to be doing school recently.
It's weird because you think like, oh, everyone's got some way to be digital, and often and not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She works with primarily like very, very low income families, and they don't all have access to a computer, so they have to have their stuff delivered to them.
Which is definitely taxing on everyone involved. You know what I mean? But that's awesome they worked it out. Because, like, and a lot of times having that physical thing, they're like, I got to do this, as opposed to, like, I got to find Google Classroom A. Like, now it's like going to community college and being lost, but it's all digital.
Yes.
Yeah, me and Sam are online music students. At
It's so
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where at? Where you guys?
Kent State Stark.
Yeah, we both go there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, for I'm trying to think. At Kent State, start
Music Tech.
Music Tech. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, they got a cool program, and that's
it's really awesome.
It's sweet, yeah.
But, yeah, like Dom said, it's super weird. Like music is like one of those degrees. It's super hard to do online. So
Have you guys had to deal with a friend of mine is a chemistry major, and I was watching him do one of his chemistry classes. And he had to drag and click fake chemicals into like a beaker online.
That's awesome.
And he's like, why am I doing this? Why are they making me do this?
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing, though. Like,
online labs.
Well, no, it's weird because we had like, I'm speaking personally, of course, but like my professors basically like, when this all happened, they kind of like went into 2 separate categories. They were either really, really lazy and they didn't give us really any work.
Yeah.
Which technical professors do, or they were like super overcompensating, giving us like.
They're like, oh, you're home. That means you have nothing to do. Yes.
Yeah. It was a ton of busy work, and it was like it was weird. It's like for one class you have to do like, I have to write a paper and do a project, and it all has to be done by like 3 hours from now. And then this other class is like, yeah, I got a paper that's kind of optional. It doesn't have to be done. So like, until the end of the semester, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of like the Wild West of everything. You know what I mean? Even like
yes, exactly.
Everything's very liquid right now. We're just kind of floating around.
Yeah, and which is cool because it leads to amazing, innovative things like what you guys did with the drive-in concert, and like, but also for things like that was something you kind of had this perception with. You're going to go and you're going to learn this hands-on education. You know what I mean? Now it's kind of thrown out the window. Or reworked in a way that's either tedious or pointless. And, like, I guess in the end, as long as you get the credit, that's what matters. But it also...
I passed all my classes. I'm good. So.
Hey, did it. Congrats. But it does suck because you want to get that, especially when it's something you want to know and you want to get the hands-on, like...
Yeah,
it's a real bummer when it doesn't like work out. But I feel like more and more people are going to learn how to do this right. As far as like online stuff and like, it can only get better from where it's at.
Especially when we have to do it next semester too. It'll be a lot easier because it's not just like a trial by fire thing. It'll be way more planned and.
Well, I'm sure it sucks for you guys too because part of your degree is working in the studio with your professors and other people, and you just can't really do that right now.
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah.
No, definitely, yeah. Especially when you're, I guess, I mean, I know it's a little different, but when you're learning one-on-one lessons, you know what I mean, or if you're teaching lessons, it's hard to be like, move your hand over here, and they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's like a lag, and it peaks, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine teaching guitar lessons to a kid in person, let alone over Zoom.
Yeah, with the Zoom, it's great. Yeah. But that's another thing. Like with teaching, you can only use certain, like since Zoom gets hacked, like you're not allowed to really use that for teaching like purposes. There's like a certain
really?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, that's why when we did the Cleveland Virtual Show, we had to invite people to it because it was over Zoom.
Yep. Okay.
Speaking of which, kind of going towards the virtual shows, that was a good thing. Actually, I want to ask you about that. You guys did the virtual CLE show, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah.
With Dream Masons and I forget who else was on the bill with you guys.
I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Joshua, but I can't remember his last name for the life of me.
But how was that compared to your drive-by or drive-in concert? Did you feel like the same type of tendencies? Like they're not really clapping, they're kind of beeping.
Yeah,
it's interesting because they have different pros and cons. Like I have been a performer since I was a child.
Yeah, you started at 10 or something.
Nothing I like. Sorry, go ahead.
You started at 10 or something?
I've been singing since I was a child,
okay.
Like a little tiny kid. And it was, when I was a kid, it was stuff like I'd sing at county fairs and do talent shows and stuff like that. And then I started being in a band when I was 14. But I just love the dynamic of being with my band and doing a live performance. And I don't think you can really beat that, honestly.
For sure.
Just the excitement and the adrenaline you get from doing something like that.
Yep.
But the streams are nice because they're just real chill. And, like, usually you're muted in between sets, so you just can sit there and you're hanging out with your buddy, and then you get to listen to these awesome other bands. Like, the Dream Masons Joshua were absolutely fantastic. It was a great bill.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, it was really cool because we pulled up everybody's screen and then took a screenshot so we could take a picture of everyone who performed and was listening to it.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun.
That is a really cool feeling, like the see everyone quote, like when you're looking at a sea of cars, you're kind of like, is that Scott? I can't tell. He got a different car, but like when you see the one-on-one, and keep going. Sorry.
No, sorry. I would compare it to kind of like the difference between how I feel doing a small winery acoustic show and then like a full band bar show. Like, they're both very fun, but the energy's just different. They have different energies to them.
For sure.
Yep.
And I
see your cat.
Yeah, that's they're both behind me. They'll probably be here in a second. But kind of with the same. Okay, it's interesting how that virtual reality is like tied to reality. Like when you're playing a wine show in a bar gig, right? You're the same amount of time. Then you got different dynamics you got to fill. But in a weird way, I don't think a wine crowd doesn't react as differently than a bar crowd. You know what I mean? I feel even though like you can bring a bigger dynamic, I feel like you kind of get the same reaction if you're doing like the same like or the same length of a gig, like a 3-hour gig. You know, you're kind of like entertainment and background noise. You know what I mean? Or
there's usually a lot less drunken dancers at the winery shows, though, which is
for sure,
fun.
for sure. But as far as like crowd interaction and like band purpose, you're kind of like this. You're this essence of the room in both gigs, right? You're kind of filling the space and being this thing that people are there to be a part of, but they're really hanging out with Rhonda and talking to Scott. You know what I mean? Like, and then in between they're like, oh, I know that one. Like, and then you kind of lean over.
And then I also feel like it really depends, honestly, just like bar to bar, winery to winery, you kind of get different responses.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, there's this place called Sandy Springs Winery near us that we're very good friends with. They're really fantastic. And it is the like wildest, rowdiest winery I've ever been to. Every time you go there, people are like running around. They're always hooping and hollering, and we always, like it's always crazy there. And it's just some tiny little winery, but like you know, it really depends like place to place. Some places are real rowdy. Some places, like Hartford Hill Winery, we also play. That's just real chill. Everyone just kind of sits down. You get a couple tips. Everyone drinks their wine. They're real quiet. So I think it also really depends, like, on the area and the actual venue itself, to like how rowdy people are going to be.
What do you guys prefer? Do you prefer calm and smooth, or do you
rowdy? Absolutely,
rowdy.
Yeah, rowdy.
I love rowdy crowds. Yeah, you just feed off that.
Yeah, you do. I like obviously the chill shows are fun, and I feel like they're more like intimate and cool, and I think they're fun. It's just like a little chill thing. But if I'm going to be playing for 3-4 hours, I want people to be like, hell yeah, let's go!
I feel it. If anything, that makes that 3-hour set seem like you need more time when everyone's really into it.
Absolutely.
You know, it makes it fly by.
It makes it faster and also slower at the same time.
Yep.
So since you started at an early age, when did, and you started a band at a fairly early age, but like when did the idea of going to this type of gig, you know what I mean, like stepping up from like a talent show is a song or two, right?
Right.
And then when you're playing with a band, that's like a set, arguably like 30 to 40 minute set. When did that like evolve for you? When did you like, we'll start with you, Rachel, then we'll move side to side. But like, when did the idea that singing's more than a thing I like to do for, you know, for a bit or for like an opportunity, I wanted to make opportunities with it type mentality become a reality for you?
Well, I come from a musical family. That's not their jobs necessarily, but they all have had some part of their life rooted in music. So that's how I started so young.
Okay. Like what?
And then for a while, I was a solo artist. I would just play piano and ukulele, sometimes sing with like tracks.
Okay.
And then I'd start, you know, building up to like 30-minute sets and then hour-long sets. And then I actually, for being a front woman, have a lot of like social anxiety. And so it was actually Paramore's Riot and Brand New Eyes album. But I heard that and I was just like, dude, I want to be in a band. I want to be like a kick-ass female fronted band. And there's just nothing I like more than being with my buddies and playing music.
Paramore is fucking cool.
I find being a solo artist so boring because I love just the flavor and the different ideas and just the different perspectives that working with a group brings you.
And other egos.
Yeah.
Nothing like problems.
But that's really how I started. I got to a point where I was like, I don't like just being by myself. I want to play with other people. And then I started as a duo, and then that turned into a trio, and then that turned into a full band, and eventually it turned into what it is now.
Gotcha. So with singing, you started singing, right? Or did you start with piano? Or like, did they both
Always singing. Singing's always been first. I just learned instruments to accompany myself, basically.
Gotcha. And did that come like, I don't know, age 11 or something? Like, when did you start working?
I started learning piano when I was probably like 13, maybe 12. I'm not exactly sure. I know it was when I was still seeing my old vocal coach, Miss Leah, 'cause she was who taught me piano also. But I don't exactly remember when that was, but it's been a couple of years at this point when I started learning instruments.
Gotcha. And you said music was in the family as well. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what did your mom do? What did your dad do? Grandpa, grandma?
My mom sings. She doesn't really perform anymore, but her father specifically was in a band called the Country Seasons, and they were a band that was hired in to play for famous country acts like Shania Twain, Reba McEntire, people
Whoa.
like that.
Yeah.
And so she spent a lot of time with very famous country artists, and she also performed in her church and did plays and things like that. And then my father had played in bands his whole life. He, for a while, lived in Germany when he was in the Air Force.
Really?
You didn't know that?
No, I had no idea, honestly.
That's why I'm trying to learn German.
That's good.
That's awesome. No, I didn't know.
But he was in a band called the Flaming Napalm Love Gods, which I
Whoa.
wish I could steal because it's so good.
That sounds amazing.
But yeah, he did music for the longest time, and then when he came back to the States, he became a radio DJ, and then he worked at the Purple Moose, which is actually how my parents met, because my mom was on vacation in Maryland, and then she met my dad. That's how they met each other.
What does he still do? Does he still DJ?
No, he does not DJ anymore. Primarily, he's my manager now. He helps manage the band.
Yeah, well, I was pretty sure I was talking to him when we were setting this up.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. That's awesome. Well, that's the guy you want to have manage your stuff for sure. He's been around it, knows how it works.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, that's it. That puts a really interesting perspective, because you're kind of getting like the business angle of things from one side, and you're getting like the performance angle of things, and then just the joy of doing it. It's like this weird, perfect blend of things. That really leads to like a good insight for musical growth. It sounds like, I don't know if it was like that for you going through it, if it was like.
I mean, I think so. I would definitely consider my success as an artist completely 50-50, because half of it was just my love and my effort in my craft, and the other half was my parents being like, hey, look, it's okay if you want to like pursue music, and we're going to help you, and we're going to help you figure things out. And I started when I was 14, and I didn't know how to manage a band. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And so my parents would sit there and they'd be like, well, let's look at who's hiring right now. Let's figure out how to find more band members. Let's do this kind of stuff. And so just having that support has helped me out so much. And now that I'm, 23, I'm finally in a point in my life where I can now take the torch, and like I have a really good basis because of them. It was really awesome.
Definitely. Like at 14, man, you're just trying to manage yourself. You know what I mean? Like, how do I think or feel, let alone organize a group of other people that have those same things? Now,
I'm honestly still trying to just manage myself.
I gotta get past that.
So the first band, was it anything like what we see now for you?
Well, originally, I just started as a duo. There was a guy at my school named Sam, and he not this Sam, different
Sam.
And he wanted to do music production, and he had heard me singing some things and liked my voice, and he was essentially like, hey, do you want to try to maybe record something together, blah, blah, blah. And then that just kind of turned into him and I learning a set and then going out and doing some stuff. And then eventually we were like, hey, why don't we find a bassist? Hey, why don't we find a drummer? Hey, why don't we find a harmony singer? And then that was kind of the first iteration of the band. And then we broke up 3 months later. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing this. I as soon as I started playing in bands, I loved it, and I just didn't want to stop. And then since then, I rebuilt a band back up, and then that's how we got here.
Gotcha. So, man, so it's always been, has it been a vision? Do you have an outline for what the vision of the band will be? Or is it just trying to make, you know what I mean? Like, because you guys got a particular sound in each record that you've done, which I want to get to after kind of learning a little bit more about the two friends to the side of you. I know our listeners can't see it, but did you approach as far as a band, like with the outside, like a sound, not an image per se, but like I want to be this type of band, or was it built around who was around you at the time for each project?
Kind of. The answer is yes to both, essentially. Okay. I just love every kind of music that exists. So I've always been cool with doing all kinds of different stuff. I also feel like to be a good, well-rounded performer, you need to learn about all kinds of different musical genres.
I agree. That's a solid statement right there, for sure.
And so yes, on one hand, it kind of depended on who I was working with at the time, the kind of music that we would make. I mean, I have certain musical genres that are my favorite, and I think that comes out more in my stuff. But I always, on one hand, for example, I grew up loving 70s and 80s music, and I love bands with, like, big harmonies. Yeah. And so that was always something that I wanted to do, is have, like, big open harmonies while doing, like, pop rock music. That being said, I also, I think all of my band members are really fantastic, and I want to take their interests and their musical abilities into account. So on one hand, I might be like, oh, well, I kind of want to write a song like this, and then I just let them work their magic on it,
Gotcha. So that's a really healthy, productive sounding way to run a group. Well, now,
yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do. Like, it's a little weird being a boss of people that are all your own age that you're also friends with. Because it's like, on one hand, I sometimes have to be like, all right, everybody, we got to get this, and this done today. And then sometimes I'm like, dude, let's just hang out and, like, play a rock riff for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, you guys, it's sonically, it's a really interesting. I want to keep on track because you guys kind of do that. Sonically, as far as how your albums go, it kind of bounces from that. But Sam, let's get a little bit about you and your background. And what was it like? Did you have music in the family? When did you start playing?
Yeah. Big musical family. I actually had I have an uncle that actually is in New York. He plays drums professionally on Broadway.
Oh, no way! That's awesome.
Yeah. My grandpa played in a polka band for like 50 years.
What band?
And they played like I still have people that come up to me and are like, yeah, your grandpa played at my wedding, which is a really cool thing.
Do you remember the name of the band?
No, it was not. I don't know if it was just one band, but he played accordion and he would just go play with a bunch of different people.
Gotcha.
Accordion for hire?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's
he was
polka.
With a bunch of different polka bands.
Polka was a huge party music. Like
I do remember he played with a Phil Burns trio. I know that was him.
Phil Burns. Okay. Because I know like you guys are Canton. Like, isn't the Polka Hall of Fame by you guys? Or is that Chardon?
Yeah, football.
Is that a dog?
Yes, that's
oh.
Yep.
Anyway, keep going. So your grandpa played was the accordion player for hire.
Yep. And like I said, my uncle plays drums, and I had another uncle that toured for like 10 years with a whole bunch of different bands.
Which one is the Sydney Lauper one? Is that the Broadway
guy?
The guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy that played at Broadway, that plays at Broadway now, he was Sydney Lauper's drummer for like 20 years.
Wow.
So definitely musical family. So when I told my parents I wanted to do music, they're obviously very supportive. And I kind of decided that I wanted to do that kind of like my senior year of high school, because what I was going to do was be a physical therapy major. Okay. And
what brought upon that? Did you see it in action? Was there someone?
I just I broke my wrist when I was a sophomore, and I kind of got to see. I didn't actually go to rehab, but like I kind of got to see how a lot of it worked when I was in doctor's offices and things like that. So like, this would be pretty cool. Like this kind of stuff is something I'd be interested in. So I took some vocational classes my junior year. And then I kind of decided, like, near the end, I was like, if I don't at least give this music thing a try, I'm going to just wonder about it forever.
It's like, I think I'm going to disappoint my mom instead.
I always make that joke. I was like, yeah, I'm a musician because I love performing and I love being poor. That's what I always tell people. But yeah, no, that's kind of
awesome.
happened for me. I grew up kind of like Rachel, like, listening to a lot of 70s and 80s music. And then I kind of... Like, once I got into high school, I started, like, getting into a whole bunch of, like, pop punk and pop rock stuff. And that's probably my main influences, I really love bands like Blink and Green Day.
Yeah. Well, being a drummer,
and, like,
it's kind of hard now.
Especially, like, Shinedown and Breaking Benjamin, so.
What brought on the drums, though? What
Oh,
like brought that instrument to you? As far was it because of your uncle? Because that's a pretty.
I don't want to give him credit. It was honestly it was a little bit. Obviously,
Yeah.
seeing him play was pretty cool.
That's pretty. Yeah.
And that was always something that I thought was really awesome. But no, I started playing.
You just have like
percussion.
drummer energy, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
You really do.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I started playing in 5th grade, and my buddy approached me the same day. Like the same day we started 5th grade band, I never played an instrument.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I'm putting together a band. You want to join?" And we're together for like 3 years. We were so bad.
Yes.
We were so bad.
That's how
We
it
were the
goes. Though.
worst.
I love it.
Yeah.
We were the worst. But no, it was super. It was like super cool, and that's kind of how I started playing drum set.
You got to start somewhere. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
As long as you get better from the bad, that's all that matters.
That's what my dad always says. He's like, if you want to be good at something, you got to be shitty at something first.
That's true.
Like, yeah, that's true.
That's 100%. You know what I mean? Like you can't if you don't allow yourself to fail and you just assume you're going to go in there and know it. You're not going to get anywhere. You know, that's a failed mentality.
Yep.
If you assume you're going to go in there and knock it the fuck out. No. You got to go in there and you got to bomb it and you got to be embarrassed and then you got to go home and you got to study the lick.
Yeah.
And like, why doesn't it work?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with going in there and wanting to knock it out of the park. You just can't get frustrated when you just can't get frustrated when you don't. So, yeah.
But there's nothing like, confidence and going in there wanting to do it is that nothing wrong with that at all. But going in there, it's like too much of that. It's either like there's like a conceited and confident, right? Yep. Pretty close and familiar like things, but one's just a little bit too much, you know? And like,
it's like, I find that you need to believe in yourself and know your worth as an artist, but also understand that you can always grow and learn from other people.
Yeah. Very well said.
I think you guys can attest that I'm pretty self-confident. Like,
you are very confident. I remember Dom's 21st birthday is coming up, and we were talking about how we were going to try to celebrate it since everything's closed.
Yeah.
And he put on our group chat, he's like, "Oh, you don't even know. I get so confident when I'm drunk." I'm like, "What do you mean? You just float in the air? You're already so confident. What do you mean?"
Dom, what does that look like? Is that like, hold on, I got this. What's your name? Like, I don't know.
Sam's the confident.
No,
guy.
I just
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you said Dom gets confident.
No, we were talking about his 21st birthday.
We're gonna get drunk on my birthday.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty confident. I get pretty confident when I'm drunk. And they're like, yeah, you kind of already are. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I might.
I think specifically I said, "Do you turn into a god?" And you're like, "Almost."
You're like, yeah. I was like, she's like, "Yeah, do you turn into a god?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just like grow 8 more arms and start moving, start moving shit telekinetically with my brain." Yeah.
There, I got rid of that light. But so you just become this confident god.
Yeah.
You're like, my uncle knows Cyndi Lauper. Like,
no. Here's the thing.
I just always want to have fun. No.
Yeah. No, I told them this. I was like, I become confident. Whether it's warranted or not is a completely different issue. But the confidence is there. Like I'm not sure if I should be but it's there. So
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure at times it can be, but
there are worse things.
being aware of it, I think, speaks volumes about it.
At least you're self-aware. That's
100%. A character trait, if you know it and can work with it and forewarn other people about it, it's not as like invasive or mean, you know what I mean? Because they're pre-warned. It doesn't mean you should be reckless and unaware of yourself, but being aware.
Oh, absolutely. I told them that when I joined. Like when I joined the band, I was like, guys, if you think I'm doing something like wrong or terrible, like please give me your criticisms because, if I think you're doing something wrong or terrible, I'm going to be honest with you. So please be honest with me.
It's got to be two-way street.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Well, I think that's a solid point, and leading with that and making that open communication, especially in a creative project that is with multiple people that have their own input, is a huge thing. Because if you don't do that, you're going to butt heads or say nothing and build up this resentment towards your drummer. You know what I mean? And that's never going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually,
let's prolong that resentment a little bit. At least.
Yeah. Let's.
Well, and I feel like if you're not having open communication with each other and you're not having, like, if there's not enough, essentially just, like, enough negativity can, like, completely halt any creative process.
Really? Definitely.
And it's like, you know, and especially when you're working with creatives, there's a lot more emotions, there's a lot more vulnerability, and so then if you guys are budding with each other, like, it's just gonna ruin the whole thing.
Well, definitely. And, like, being aware of it, and, like, it sounds like you guys are knocking out of the park as far as, like, being cool with it and hearing each other.
I
just
think
like,
we're all bros, yeah.
what's up, bruh?
Yeah, Rachel's my bro.
But it is important, and it's important to have, like, a leader and someone kind of, the dynamic of what you have to do, Rachel, as far as, like, being the bro and being the being the homie and, like, the head honcho, you know what I mean? Like, playing the dual role where it's like how you're saying, like, you're boss of these people your same age, but to a degree where it's not stifling everyone else's creative intent, and it's not stunting the growth of the band. Like, so having a vision and so that's a really tricky dynamic to pull off. Which leads me, did your uncle teach you that Cyndi Lauper lick, or did he, like? I didn't want to leave that topic, but
no, it's okay. Yeah.
As far as, like, having an uncle, family like that, has he taught you any cool things? Like, if you do this, you know, you're always going to be in the right. You know, everyone loves this lick, or I don't know, like little tricks of the trade.
Honestly, I usually, he lives in New York, so I really only see him. We usually go up there like every year for Thanksgiving, so I really only see him like once a year.
That's who you visit in New York. I didn't know that. Okay.
That's our visit. Yeah.
See, I'm just helping you guys learn more about each other.
Absolutely. No, honestly, I've learned like 3 things about Rachel that I just had no idea about.
He's interviewing you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is awesome.
But honestly, like, the biggest, like, he's a super serious dude, and sometimes I kind of don't like it because he's like impossible to joke around with. But if there's one thing I've learned from him, it's like if you just work your ass off all the time, you're gonna get somewhere.
Definitely, personally.
And he does. Like, he went, like, his whole story is like he went to New York with like $10 in his pocket.
Wow.
And like nowhere to live. And
drums for your life, boy.
Literally, yeah. He was,
Wow.
He got a session for $50 from some random dude that was in the city for a week, and that's how he kind of started, and he's just been grinding since then.
Yeah, and doing, like, Broadway shows, being in pit gigs, like, you're reading, you're doing some, you know, that's some hefty musician stuff. That's not like that's not like playerist theory. You're following the chart, and if you don't hit the drum when Dorothy comes in, you know what I mean, it's a high stake gigs. But
he let me sit in his drum room for a couple of the, and he played. I'm not sure if you're familiar with for Kinky Boots. With Kinky Boots, he was the drummer.
Yeah.
He was the drummer of that show for like the first 4 years that it ran.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But he let me sit. Like, it's a really tight show. I was sitting in his drum room, like, it's like you have to be on it.
When there's that much money moving around, you gotta be on everything all the time.
Tight ship. Yeah, they are running a tight ship.
Yeah, when it's a production for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
As far as Kinky Boots, I don't know anything about the music, but I know the logo. I can talk. And I can't remember why I know that. Maybe it was like a high school production or something. I saw it.
I mean, it was a pretty successful musical. One, I think 6 Tonys. I think it won.
Isn't it all Cyndi Lauper music, right? Or
no, Cyndi Lauper wrote it.
Oh, she wrote it. Okay.
Cyndi Lauper wrote the musical. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. There's a connection.
All right. Well, Dom, what about you, my friend? What got you on the guitar and got you playing? And did music run?
If I'm being completely honest, none of my parents didn't really play any instruments. My dad had a guitar laying around.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me into music was School of Rock, the Jack Black movie.
Yes.
100%. I can't even lie.
That's a really interesting inspiration.
I can't
even lie about it. I just, I saw those kids jamming out to AC/DC, and I was like, you know what? That seems like something I would want to do.
I'm gonna do it.
And now, I remember being influenced by that movie too. I was already playing guitar by that time, but I was like, this is sweet. I want to do this more. And like, you're not the first person to say that. Like, I think every generation has their like Beatles on Ed Sullivan. You know what I mean? Just in some form. And the fact that for some of us it's Jack Black's School of Rock is awesome. Because
I see nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No, that movie fucking rocks.
Yeah, and it taught me that it doesn't matter if you're a child, you can swear.
Yep.
I love how Dom was like agreeing
100%.
with me. He was like agreeing with me. He said I was gonna make some deep quote about music, and then it was just about swearing, and he's like, "Wait a minute."
I still agree.
I still agree. Oh my goodness.
You are Mr. Cool.
Maybe not, but I appreciate the compliment. That's going to boost my self-confidence even more. So, guys, thank you.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about that. That is all. I gotta use that again. That's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got influenced by the film, and then what actually led you to picking up the guitar? Like, was there? You said your dad had one laying around. Did he know a little bit?
Yeah, my dad kind of always had an acoustic guitar that he knew a few chords or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think it was like.
Is that the one you still have?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah.
It's not a nice guitar or anything. But
No, it's still awesome.
It works.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I was playing games like Rock Band or Guitar Hero or whatever else, and my dad is basically like, it was my dad I can thank for getting me a guitar, because he was like, stop playing video games, like let me get you a real guitar, just like stop spending so much time playing video games. So I got a real guitar for Christmas when I was 9 or something like that, and started lessons not too long after, and yeah, it's just, you know, and then through middle school, I played soccer and stuff like that. And then I think around 8th grade, start of high school, I was like, I don't want to play soccer anymore. I just want to play guitar all the time. So that's what I did.
That's awesome. What was it?
So music was always kind of my thing through high school through now.
Gotcha. Same.
Yeah.
Same. Was there like I think being a guitar player too, you come into like a similar like approach. Like for you, what was it that made it make sense? Like, was there like once you learned like this certain thing, you had to keep learning more, or like once that clicked, you're like, oh, I can apply that here. That's how this works. You know what I mean? Was there like a moment that early on that made you want to keep going down the trajectory of guitar playing?
I think it was because I definitely started with like Back in Black, AC/DC, like that album.
Nice.
You know, strumming
Same.
my open chords along to AC/DC with the gain on 10.
Right.
But I think it was like getting into Led Zeppelin specifically. It was stuff that's a little more complex,
Yeah.
but not out of a beginner's like wheelhouse necessarily. Like not all of it.
Like it's challenging, but not impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
I was
Yeah.
kind of like, ooh, wait, this riff's fun, but it's like hard. You know what I mean? Like I got to work on it. So I think it was that challenge with Zeppelin specifically.
Gotcha.
That was
So-
like, whoa, like this is cool. People have made some cool stuff, and I want to be able to do it too.
Overcoming that and kind of clicking, seeing how it works.
Yeah.
I remember like when you learn Black Dog, you're like, whoa, this is hard, but I did
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then people are requesting, you're like, I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then what brought this whole ensemble together as it is now? So you each had these trajectories. Dom, I didn't ask, did you have like any bands earlier on before you met these guys?
Yeah. I think my first band I ever started was similar to Sam, like 5th grade or something like that, and I've always just
Nice.
kind of, you know, had a band. I had more serious stuff going in high school for sure.
Yeah.
Doing like competitions and stuff like that.
Did you
Like
guys,
what? Like the blues competition? I think that
Like
was the thing.
the high school rock off.
Oh,
you guys
okay.
won that,
Okay.
didn't you?
Yeah, we won that.
What group was that?
Brag about it now.
The Waves. We were called the Waves. Yeah.
Okay,
We
okay.
won my senior year, so it would have been 2017.
Dom, I still have beef with you. He's been promising me. He has a bunch of merch left over. He's
Yeah.
been promising like just laying around. And he's been promising to give me a T-shirt for like 3 months, and he still hasn't fucking done it. So like, come through, man.
Okay, fine.
I want one.
All right, fine.
We show up for his. We show up for his birthday party. He's like, Sam, I have a gift for you.
Dude, I've been telling
That's
him, like,
awesome.
Man, give me a T-shirt. I'll wear it to gigs. Like, absolutely.
Have people asking, I've never heard of that band. And be like, yeah, I know.
That vintage merch, dude.
Vintage.
That's awesome. Okay, so that was and then where did that like end, and what was after that? Was the Scenic Route straight out of that, or was that still going at the same time?
No, so yeah, the Waves, we kind of started like sophomore year of high school, I want to say, through senior year. I think the summer after senior year was probably our busiest gig-wise. And then everybody just kind of went to college, like Singer went to Dayton. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to have band practice from Dayton, so...
Definitely.
So it just kind of faded out there at the end, and I was playing one-off gigs here, there, with whoever I could in college for that first year of college, and then
where'd you go?
I've been at every college. I went to
Wow.
Akron freshman year, and then I went to Stark State, and now I'm at Kent Stark.
With me.
With Sam.
Yay.
So
Got
Sam's
him
a
all.
little bit ahead of me in the program.
But it's fun to see Dom in school and be like, hey, buddy.
I think your guys' like school romance is so cute. I love when they come to practice and they're like, "Hey, buddy, just saw you at school."
No, yeah, me and Dom sort of have a bromance, and I'm trying to get one going with Van, who's our bassist. he's just not having any of it. Like every time I like make some weird little comment towards him, he just looks at me like I'm an alien.
He gets grumpy. Yeah,
he's like Van is like the band old man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Van's just like the cat of the band.
Yes, that's better. That's a better analogy. Yeah. He's the cool dude.
There's something to that, though. I feel that dynamic's important too. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
like, as far as you have this very energetic personality, so you having that to feed off of too, like, I think leads to a good persona, and like I think that's important to have that kind of fun connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've always said there's 6 of us in total, and like 3 of us are introverts, and the other 3 are extroverts, and then we just like pair up like that.
Absolutely true.
Let's see. Oh, sorry, hold on 1 second. This thing going off. I need this.
It's a pretty accurate statement, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
like me, Dom, and Matt, and then you, Chad, Sam, Van.
All right. So that went that direction, and then when did you guys meet? Now, was the Scenic Route, because Rachel, you've been doing projects for a while. Did you meet Sam or Dom first, and was that one of the first iterations of the Scenic Route, or did this kind of come together with this unit we have in front of us here today? Like,
Well, like I said, I kind of started that original band, and then we like broke up after 3 months, and then I met a new group of people, and they were the band for like the next 2 years, and then same thing that happened to Dom. We all got to college age, and then we all broke up because we all went to college. But again, I was just like, I'm not gonna stop. I'm just gonna, keep going. And I just never changed the name because
no,
I've just always liked it. And then at this point now, like people know us as that name, so I felt like there was no reason to change it.
Definitely, that's a good move for sure.
Van, our bassist, has been with me the longest. He was the first person I met after I decided I was gonna like pick it back up and get stuff going again. He's been in for like 5 or 6 years at this point.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Chad, our other guitarist, is like the second longest. And then you guys aren't really newbies at this point, but they're kind of the newbies. They've been in for like a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe even 2 years at this point. I'm not exactly sure.
I joined last June. Oh, wow. So coming up on a year.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah, Yeah, wow.
It feels like it's been longer, though, because we just see each other all the time. But
that's accurate.
we basically all just met through the internet, honestly.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they texted me like in January of 2019. They're like, hey, you want to come audition? And then they texted me like a week later and said, never mind, we got somebody. And then I got a text.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then I got a text from them in June like, hey, we're firing our drummer. You still want to come audition? Hell yeah. I'll bring my stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, so that kind of like when I was looking into your guys' music, and I say your guys' is, I guess maybe meaning just, I mean, I guess it's all your guys', but like that makes sense. The records, each one of them has sonically such a different landscape.
Yeah.
And like the latest one, Ultraviolet, is so like kind of how you described what you liked, like thick vocal harmonies, and like it's like got these pop influences, and it's all over. It's a really good record. And then
Thank you.
Ghost is like that's like a classic rock record. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it jumps from like one thing to the next, and each one is super well done. But that makes more sense now that there was some kind of member rearranging. And
yeah, and then it's funny because this album we're working on right now is a pretty big, like a pretty perfect pop rock blend. Like,
yeah,
we have some songs that are a little poppier. I mean, they all have the big harmonies, so that's just something I've always liked. But
And 3 vocalists.
and 3 vocalists, yeah. But like some of our songs are a little more poppy. Like our song "Wild" is basically just a pop dance song. And then we have another song called "Hunters," which is like, I call it cute metal. Because it's like my preppy little high voice, and then we have just a metal breakdown in the middle of the bridge. Like, so, you know,
That's awesome.
it's just, I really like an eclectic mix, and I think I honestly find it to be really boring to just do the same thing over and over again. And I look at songs as different pieces of art, and then I look at albums as like art collections, essentially. And so I don't want to do the same thing every single album, and I don't want to do the same thing every single song. And so part of that is just me getting bored, and then part of it is my amazing band. So
That's awesome. Well, I think that's a really interesting outlook out of it, looking like this is an art showing, and each piece represents a different thing. It can have a different medium. You can have a sculpture next to a painting in an art gallery, and no one's like, whoa. But like on a record, if it's like, I don't know, a reggae song next to a jazz song, people are like, whoa. Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I've never thought of it in that context. That's a really cool way to look at it. But so wow, okay. So that last record, Ultraviolet, you two were both on it, right? Sam and Dom.
We were both not.
no, they
okay.
joined like right after we put that out.
I
Chad
joined,
and
like,
Van
literally
were
the
both
day
on
after.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because you said 2019. That's when that one dropped. So I just put two and two together. But
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
I auditioned for that. I auditioned for you guys, I think, the day before you dropped that record.
Yeah, you're right. You did.
Yep.
Because then we had one more show with our old drummer, which was the album release show, and then
Yeah.
like the next week we had you in.
Yep.
where'd you guys do that at?
Oracle in downtown Canton.
Okay. Canton's got a cool music scene, man.
Yeah, honestly, really just Ohio in general has a really fantastic music scene. I don't think a lot of people that aren't from here realize that.
I would agree with that.
But if you look around, like almost every winery, every bar, even just little places want bands in. Like there's a lot of music around here
Well, like,
if you can find it.
Like, if you bring, like, it's crazy the amount of, like, good musicians that, like, have come out of Ohio.
Yeah,
like,
there's an amazing
like,
group
we
of
do
musicians that come
like,
out of
Tornado
Ohio.
Pilots is from Columbus. And
Yeah.
Starset,
Walk the Moon's from Cincinnati.
Yeah, Walk the Moon. Black Keys is from Akron. You know, Starset is also from Columbus. Like, there's just a lot of really huge, successful bands that have come out of Ohio. And, like, it's not like they started in Columbus and then moved to LA and then that's where they hit it, you know? They hit it and they still, like, live in this area. Like, I know Starset still lives in Columbus, you know? I think the Black
Dave
Keys
Chappelle
still
lives
in
here.
Yeah.
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 Eric Clapton lives in Columbus.
Really?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
moved.
was
He
not aware.
moved there.
It's a good
He-
spot.
Yeah.
Was
that's
it,
pretty neat.
I don't know if it's still now. I'm sure he's probably got a few houses everywhere. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's
probably
a good
has a whole
point.
lot.
And like even just the kind of what you guys did with the virtual show, the fact that exists, that there is a medium, there is a safety net designed to help musicians during this time, just kind of is the icing on the cake of how awesome the music scene is here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's a nonprofit. They got grants to give musicians like $100 to play 4 songs plus tips. What? Out of here. That's just we are definitely super lucky to be in like where we are and like with the amount of like spots and people there are.
Absolutely. You know, we were working with a A&R development label recently based out of Arizona, and when we were talking to the lady in charge, she said, a lot of people don't know this, but one of the biggest music scenes in the country right now is in Ohio.
Yeah. Whoa. That's awesome. Did she pinpoint
Yeah, and
it?
I thought that was pretty crazy. And she's like, yeah, a lot of people don't think that, but they're like, like I said, there's music everywhere in Ohio.
Yeah, and it's like a crossroads as far as where you can go. Like if you're a band from Houston, Texas, you're not making it too far out of Texas. But if you're a band in Ohio, 3 hours in any direction, you can hit like another whole market. You know what I mean? You can hit
absolutely.
Michigan. It's like the 6 hours. You're almost to Chicago and you're almost to New York, and like depending where you are in New York. Like it's a really cool spot to be. And then
Yeah,
Still 7 hours from here. So yeah.
Well, we this is the first summer we do it, but we usually every summer go out to, we do like a little tour in the states around us. So like Maryland, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, just cause, it's only like a 5-hour drive. And why not just drive up, play there for a weekend and then come back home? Like,
no, that's awesome. The Weekend Warrior Dash is definitely the way to go as far as touring is concerned. Because if you go out for the whole week, then you actually gotta like worry about making money. But if you go out for like a weekend, you can go out there, make nothing, and like meet like the person who runs the venue and come back next time and then have a good show. You know what I mean? Like it's so like How often? So you guys do that every summer?
This is the first year we didn't do it just because of the way things worked out. But yeah, like the past 3 or 4 years, we've done that every summer.
That's awesome. What's that like? Because you guys play a lot here. So going to a completely different town, is it refreshing, or is it is it like I can play this song that I've played over night after night, and usually it's like at one level, but here it's like at 100 because they've never heard it.
Well, I personally have a lot of fun when we do that because all of my family lives in those states,
Gotcha.
and then like my immediate family and then my father's mom are the only family that live here in Ohio.
Yeah.
So originally that was kind of how it started. It was just like I have this whole family and tons of cousins and aunts and uncles who have never got to see me play, and so we just went out to West Virginia and booked a show at a winery there and had my whole family, and then that just kind of turned into like a whole other thing. Like the town that my mom is from, Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, they have a famous hotel there that George Washington used the hot springs at.
What?
And it's just this gorgeous old hotel, and it's right in front of a giant castle that some guy built there. And so they basically have us back every year, and we just play in their courthouse, and it's really fun. Like, it's cool because, you get that, like, small town vibe, and so, I get to see my family, but then also, I remember last time we went, the rest of the band decided they were going to take a walk in downtown Berkeley Springs, which it's only a mile long the whole town, so that's not a lot of place, but they're walking around, they're like, yeah, it's really cool. We went to some random thrift store, and they were only selling old guns, but the lady let us take her dog for a walk, and that was pretty cool. So, it's like,
West Virginia is quite a place.
It's quite a place, yeah. It's very fun.
How about...
And then, you're right next to Maryland, so then you can go to Ocean City, you can... You're right. Ohio's a really nice central place to just travel all over.
That's cool. That's the George Washington Hot Springs. I'm trying to think of what that would be called, like the cherry tree springs. It only cost a quarter that use these springs.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wow.
There's a joke there somewhere.
There's got to be something. I'm gonna pause and we're gonna we're gonna figure this out. That's really cool. I think it's important too. Like I play in a band called Sea Level, letter C dash. And when we play out, or when I'll do like a thing where I'll go by myself, and then I'll bring the band maybe a couple months later, and I try to stick to doing 1 week in a month. And like when I don't know, to me, going somewhere and doing something that you've done every night in one spot somewhere else becomes the most exciting thing ever, because like, you know what I mean? And then I get all amped up, like, I gotta find their coffee shop, and then I gotta find their record store, and like, I don't know, I really like going out and exploring and seeing the same stuff in different towns.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just fun to travel in general. I mean, you have to like it in this business, honestly, so...
Yeah, for sure.
You just gotta get used to traveling, it's just part of it.
Was it, do you guys, as far as band van? Do different...
No, that's a goal. That's on the wish list.
Please let it happen.
It's. I'm sure it will eventually. Also, we were maybe gonna see if we could do a tour this summer. I don't know if we're gonna be able to now because of Corona, but eventually we will have a band van. Eventually, it'll happen someday.
I guess this leaves room to save up for it.
Yeah. There's a used car place right down the street from me, and they have it's like an old Italian sausage food truck, man. They're selling, and I'm like,
awesome.
Guys, if we don't get that truck, we're not a real band.
You definitely need to get that truck.
Short school bus for sale, and I'm like, what? Amazing.
Even
totally drive that.
Better. Oh, you gotta get that. That's hopefully it's got no miles on either of them, and like.
Yeah, I wish.
I have a couple other side questions, kind of veering off the course. You guys got all these LMA awards, like going all the way back to like the beginning of 2013. I think Rachel, you could probably speak more on this because I don't think there's anything past 2017. But what is that? Like, you guys have been killing it.
Well, it was kind of like it was just a local music award ceremony.
Okay.
But it was locally voted. There wasn't like a committee. It was purely just like, hey, if your fans vote for you, then this and this. And I honestly can't remember them all off the top of my head, but I think we got best stage presence. I know that we got best lyrics for one of our original songs called Maya Song. And we got something else. I can't remember which that one is off the top of my head, but it was just super cool. And,
That's
you know,
awesome.
that was, you're right, that was pretty early on in the band. And just being able to have some kind of recognition for the work and the time that you put into your craft and knowing that other people like it enough to give you awards, like,
Yeah,
that's
for real.
that's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it's one thing to have them endure it, being, you know, go to a bar. I'm like, this is the original, and they're always like, oh, okay. And then have that, you know what I mean? Like, and then hear the applause afterwards. That's like a win. But to get notoriety for it, that's awesome. Especially to get like
absolutely.
best
Super
lyrics. That's, you know, kind of going into that with like songwriting. How's that work? Do you come up with like a melody and a lyrical, like, or a progression and bring it to the band, or is it like a unit like someone comes in with this chord progression, then you lay a melody on, or someone else has a melody and you put lyrics on? Is there like a band dynamic to writing, or?
I'd say we're definitely like a go with the flow kind of band.
Okay.
I would consider in terms of like melody and word, not words,
Lyric.
you know, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
lyrics.
Melody and word.
Chad and I are the primary writers in that regard.
Okay.
But like, for example, that song I was talking about earlier, Hunters, that purely started because I was just like, I want to write a really cool song. And I looked at Dom like, do you have any cool riffs? And he's like, oh, I have this. I'm like, perfect. Let's write a whole song to it.
Sweet.
And so, it's really just like Chad and I, a lot of times will come up for an idea. Sometimes Chad will write a whole song. Sometimes I'll write a whole song. Sometimes we'll just have little bits and pieces and we'll come together and write something.
It's a lot of workshopping, too.
Yeah, a lot of workshopping. And then just like taking it to the band and being like, all right, guys, let's figure it out. Let's see what we want to do here and sprinkle our magic on it. And
Band, throw your bass parts on.
yeah, basically.
Throw your guitar parts on. Yeah.
I just, you know, I wouldn't have these guys in my band if I didn't appreciate and enjoy their artistic talents. And so it's like I feel like I am stunting not only their what's the word I'm looking for?
Growth?
Kind of. Just how much you put into the band. I feel like if I don't let them help with writing, and I feel like I'm stunting their ideas and their creative freedoms.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to have people in my band and then be like, oh, well, you're just going to do what I say and no one's going to, I just think that's dumb.
Just shut up and play this drum part.
Yeah, basically.
Shut up and play the solo. Yeah.
The best stuff we've ever written is when we're all sitting together and we're excited about a song, and then, you know, we go, oh, well, let's try this here, and let's try this here, and let's do that. That's how you end up with something that everyone likes and something that's really good.
Definitely,
You know,
definitely.
6 heads is better than one, right?
For sure. And like just to have everyone sold on one idea of a thing, you know what I mean? Or not sold
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
it, but believe in one idea and want to convey a group message, which is, I think, if anything's the miracle of making a band work, that's it. Having 6 people agree on a thing and support it. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Sure.
Okay, so it's kind of a mix mash. It's not really like, is there like I guess maybe you can speak on like, because like Ultraviolet is really like, that's a tight record. Everything fits really well together, like the harmonies and like the lyrical content of it. So like with a project like that, did you like for each song like take lyrically, let's even, because you can speak more on that, is it more like a group, like this mood is conveyed with this, you guys kind of talk about it, or you take it, kind of meditate on it and bring it back and like, this is what I got, what do you think?
Again, it's kind of a little mix of both.
Okay.
Sometimes I will, you know, Chad and I or the band will come in with a definite idea on a song we want to write. Like, for example, Coming For Ya off of Ultraviolet, I specifically was just like, I love to write like a sexy little slow jam rocker number. And then Chad was like, all right, how about this? And then he like came up with the riff, and then we just wrote the song from there. Sometimes it's like, I personally write the best when I'm really upset. So
enough.
a lot of my music that I write specifically is me envisioning an emotion or something like an event that's upsetting me and just like blurting it out onto paper and then turning it into a song. And you know, so sometimes it's like a situation, sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's just, oh, I really like this riff, let's write a song to it.
Yeah, there's
That's
definitely
awesome.
not like a set. You know, there's not a structure at all. Like like you said, like Hunter's this new song we're working on. Like it's definitely just like Dom wrote this cool riff, and then we wrote a song about it. But you know, like we were writing last night, and you know, we were writing songs, and you and Chad were talking about the mood you wanted to set for the for this one song that we're gonna try to put on the record and all this other stuff.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, yeah.
it's
So
it's kind of cool. It's definitely changes with each song.
that's awesome. So at least, it sounds like it just all around from like this whole conversation of your leadership of it and everyone's ability to communicate and be expressive. It sounds like a really like healthy, like functional band. You guys got to write.
I mean, I know.
You need to write a self band help book and like and no, it'd be a DIY.
It's mind blowing to me.
What?
Oh, that's so cute.
Because I've been in so many like
Oh yeah, Dom has horror stories. Dom has straight horror
Dude,
stories.
every musician does.
Yeah, everybody's got dude, where are you? Practice at 6. We said it yesterday.
Oh, sorry, I'm 3 hours away. I can't.
Dude, Dom's
I feel like we're finally all adults that care about our craft, and we show up and we get shit done.
Dom's told me stories about how he was like literally the babysitter for his last night.
Oh God, I remember
Like,
you said that we were at a sushi place we like, and you said that, and as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, you have my heart. I know exactly. I understand you on such a deeper level now that I've never understood you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's just like I've always. This might sound weird, but I've always looked at running a band almost as being in like a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you have to learn how to make those compromises to make things work with people, but also you're just not going to work with people if your personalities are too different. Like you have to find people whose personalities work together, and
that's like when you start touring, like you're gonna be.
Oh, absolutely. You're around each other all the time. If you don't like each other, you can't do it.
Yeah, well, like honestly, like the weirdest thing about quarantine for me was like there was like a month where I just didn't see these guys. Like after seeing them, like 3 times a week for like 8 months, I just didn't see them for like a month, and it was like, it was like a really weird feeling. Yeah.
I remember the first practice we had. Like once we decided to come back together and practice, everyone was just so excited. We spent like 2 hours just talking to each other because we're like, oh my God, we haven't seen each other in so long.
That's awesome. There's definitely a thing like same with like with my band when we all got back together. There was that like blah 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 blah. Everyone's super excited to be in the same presence of each other.
Yeah.
Like it's so good to be back. Yeah.
Which I think speaks volumes on the people you surround yourself with. And,
absolutely. And like I said, if you have personalities that clash with you, or if you have negativity in the band, I just feel like, at least especially for me, it just completely blocks all of my creativity.
Yeah.
And it really it also like makes me scared enough that I don't have the confidence to be the artist that I want to be.
Yeah.
Being a songwriter is very vulnerable, and even if you're writing things that aren't personally about you, like just putting your art out there is such a vulnerable and scary thing. And so if I don't have my bros with me, it makes you scared. And I feel like it makes me retract more as an artist versus when I'm in a group of people that are like, oh, that's awesome. Let's work on that. Let's try that. We got to get this perfect. It just expands the creative process so much more.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like when you're with a group of when you're with a group of friends, you're gonna be yourself and not hold it back. When you're with a group of people that you don't like, you're obviously not gonna.
Right, you're just gonna shut down.
You're not gonna say very much. You're gonna be withdrawn,
and
kind of in your head.
Definitely, and just to be able to like, as a group, it's a lot easier to do a thing, and we stand for this. But when you're by yourself, you're like, I stand for this. You know what I mean? There's like
because at least if we're bad, we're all bad together. You know?
Yeah. There's the team, and there's like the taking on the world together type thing, and like, I don't know. It's a super special. You guys gotta come out with a book called The Scenic Route. A DIY guide to healthy band relationships.
I would title it "Show Up to Practice, Asshole."
You're not wrong, honestly.
Yeah, that's chapter.
99% of it. It's like just show up. Yeah. Just show up.
Not
Chapter 2.
It's
Chapter 2 is showing up.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 is informing them to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chapter 1, pick up the guitar. Chapter 2, come to practice.
Yeah.
So what do we got to look out for as far as the Scenic Route coming out soon? I know, like, you got the new record in the works, but when can we expect to see some singles, some stuff floating around?
We have like a whole schedule planned out. That has now been changed a little bit because of everything that's going on. And then also because our first single that we're going to release, which is called I'm Giving You Up, right before we were about to send it in for mastering and get it finished, we just decided there was something we had to add to it real quick.
Accordion?
And so that kind of like pushed it back another 2 weeks because we were like, we have to get this right. We have to get this part. And then so that pushed it back another like 2 weeks because then we had to re-record that and then go and send it to get it mastered. But it is like fully finished, and we're thinking it was originally going to be released the first Friday in June. We now believe it like is going to be the third Friday in June.
Okay, so a little further down.
And then we're essentially just going to try to release a single each month. And then, depending on how things go, maybe release the full album like at the beginning of the next year.
Okay. Wow. How many tracks are on the record?
So far, 12.
Okay, so you got a year's worth. Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff.
Wow. And when you guys record, so obviously you're sending it out to master, but when you record, are you going to a place or are you doing it all yourselves?
Well, it's I mean, you can talk about it if you want.
We actually did the first two singles we did at the studio at Kent State Stark because we got a cool
Keystone Project. Yeah,
we got a cool when the students are graduating from there, and I'll do this. So when the students are graduating, they have to like record a band and then mix it, then master it themselves.
Okay.
So we kind of
we got like some raw recordings.
Yeah, we got some raw recordings, and Chad, who's our very very wonderful,
our gracious leader, our music leader.
Yeah, he's our very wonderful, very OCD guitarist.
Yes,
he's a whiz. He's a production whiz.
He whiz.
So he's great.
I said he whiz. Oh no, that's not what I said. He is.
So not what we mean. But no, he's really really great. So he wanted to do it himself, and we're really super happy with the job.
Oh, he's so fantastic.
Yeah,
he did the primary mixing production on Ultraviolet. Also.
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
What about the following projects?
So we got to record that at the Kent State Stark Studio. We recorded everything there, from drums to,
that's
vocals,
like the first
guitars,
2 songs.
everything.
Gotcha.
But now we are in a position where it's that was free, but now it's hard to rent studio time for everything. So I have a setup at home.
Yeah.
That is not too mount horn, but I really like the sound. I think it's pretty good.
Sam. I like it a lot.
Thanks, buddy.
Your cover sounds good too.
Yeah. I think Dom's got one too, and Van does, and Chad's got a killer home studio. So really, the only person that we're taking into the studio is Rachel. So
it's basically so far it's been like we work with Real Gray Studios, which is a recording art studio down here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I can still hear you. Okay.
Okay, cool. Which Ron Gray, the guy who owns it, is absolutely fantastic. He's just like this amazing little hippie, and he's so dope.
I love that dude.
Yeah, he's great. He has like this 70s vintage studio. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
And so I've been going in there to track vocals. Dom has been going in there to track guitars. And then our mastering is being done by Ben Payne, who's also fantastic. He did the production for our like first album we ever did, and then we've just worked with him ever since. And then sometimes I go up to Chad's house and we'll record some stuff up there. Chad is doing a lot of the production in his home studio, and so it's really just like a little hodgepodge. Like our band, it's like a little hodgepodge. We're working here a little bit, and then working here a little bit. And that's just kind of what you got to do right now. So
just make it work for sure. Yeah, definitely now, because I don't think any studios are going to be like, yo, come on in, lay down some sweaty drum tracks.
At Real Gray, at least, like, it's like, oh, well, you guys can stand here, and I'll be in the isolation booth, and we'll just talk to each other.
Yeah. Yep.
True. Well, that's a really cool way to make it work. That has to save a lot of money, too, if you're coming in with all these parts put together, and you're kind of just assembling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost the songs assembled in blank studio. You know what I mean? Like, recorded at my house assembled at like.
Yeah.
And it makes it so like you can, like you can sort of take your time a little bit more too, Like if you rent 3 hours in the studio and you say, okay, these are the 3 songs that we want to finish tracking guitars for on this day we rent these 3 hours. You're like it's a hustle to get in there and get those done. Otherwise,
time is money.
Otherwise, you just wasted a whole bunch of money because you didn't get done what you wanted to get done. But like if you're recording at home, if you have as much time as you want. So if you recorded it and you say, I like certain parts of that take, but there's this one fill that I really hate, or there's this one lick that I really don't like. You can go back and you can fix that as many times as you want until you get it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, like our first single, if we randomly suddenly are like, you know what, we have to change this part, we have to do this thing.
Exactly. Yep.
I can just run up to Chad's house and we can change it real fast and then send it out.
When you guys master it, who do you send it out to? Do you use the same guy?
Payne.
Ben Payne, okay.
Yep.
I can't for the life of me remember his studio, because he moved studios recently, I don't remember the new name.
Gotcha.
But Ben Payne is the guy who owns it. He's been doing our mastering.
Cool. And mastering's such a big difference as far as the final product.
It just puts that little sparkle on it.
Yeah, but that little sparkle makes it shine. You know what I mean? Like it definitely brings out it's such an important process. Okay, so looking at a couple weeks from now, June, whatever the third Friday would be.
I think it'd be like June 19th.
June 19th.
Like that,
Put like a hesitant date on it.
Dropping the first single. All right, cool. Well, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Do you feel good about this? We touch upon everything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else we want to add before we wrap it up?
I guess if I can, I'll plug our social media real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are on Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, at TS Route, and then we're just on Facebook. Just search the Scenic Route. And then we're also on Spotify.
Yep.
Oh, and sunscreen? Sunscreen.
What about it?
I think a particular individual in your band might need some after that.
Oh, yeah.
Poor
boy,
baby.
Yeah, if you want to see really a whole bunch of videos of us being weird and having a good old time, definitely follow us on social media.
I'll spill a little tea about that post.
Okay.
In the video, it looks like I'm poking him way harder than I am. I'm barely touching his skin. I'm like, boop,
Cool.
and in the video, it looks like I'm pressing down really hard, and that's why his skin is doing that. It's not. It's just I'm going.
Well, the other thing is too, like that, we played a show Saturday.
So red, poor guy.
Oh yeah, we played a show Saturday. That was at our Tuesday band practice. He was still that sunburned.
Yeah.
Go to our Instagram and check it out.
He's still pretty pink.
He is. Yeah, it's been what now? It's been.
He's definitely like
13
full-blood
days.
European boy. He's throughout.
13 days. He's still sunburned. Poor Chad, man. Go to the Instagram and check out the video. It'll make you laugh and feel sad at the same time.
That same show that he got burnt.
Yeah.
Dom got hit with a flying pavilion.
By a what?
And then when it happened, I was like, we blew the roof off!
You got hit. Wait, I didn't hear it. What did you get hit by?
Yeah, it was one of those tents,
We're brilliant.
Oh, okay.
Or what? Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the whole thing's blowing in the wind the whole day.
And then it ripped off
and
the
then
track.
It just decided
and just
to
smacked him.
smack me right in the shoulder.
Drilled him right at the end of a song.
Yeah,
He hit the last note.
Yeah, it was. We were playing X's and O's by El King, and we're like, bam, 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 there it goes. And then it just went hit Tom.
Yep. Yeah.
Apparently it looked a lot worse than it was.
It did look pretty scary. It looked
like God just decided to tomahawk you. That's what it looked like.
Gigging's so dangerous now. Can't even leave the house. Should just be streaming from here on out. There's tents and the sun and the corona. This is all horrible.
Dude, yeah, the first gig I ever played with these guys, some really drunk woman got in a bar fight with
That's true. That's true. And I remember, I was like, it's not always like this, I promise.
She's like, it's not always like this. And I'm like, can it be?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
This is like post-show entertainment. I'm enjoying this.
Jeez, what else is a crazy gig story? That's
Oh God, there's so many, dude. I remember.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of a good one.
I remember one of them they told me is the old guitarist from before I was in the band. Like saw some dude pushing and shoving a girl or something, so he ran off the stage and tomahawked him and knocked him out.
Yeah, he pushed him over and then he hit his head and got knocked out.
Cool.
And then our guitarist was like, and he just ran back on stage and then later we watched
it was in the middle of the song. Yeah, it was in the middle of the song.
watched the cops come over and look at him, and then the guy kind of like came to and left, and I was like, and then later there was like a blood spot on the car, and I was like, dude, oh my gosh.
There needs to be a chapter in our book about that.
Yeah, about terrible like stories. Yeah.
Don't start fights while you're on stage.
Oh my god, I could fill a book up with the crazy stories about musicians that I have.
I think the weirdest thing somebody asked me at a show was somebody asked me for. Oh god, I feel so bad telling this. Somebody asked me for my shirt at a show, like after the first, where it was like the first of 3 sets, and somebody asked me for my shirt after the first one. I was like I thought they meant like where, like asking like where I got it, because it was a pretty funny shirt. It was like one of those Thing 1 shirts, except
it was the sexy shirt. Yeah.
Instead of Thing 1, it said Sexy 1. It's literally the dumbest thing that I own. Yeah, but
That's
somebody asked me
awesome.
for the shirt, and I was like, oh, I don't remember where I got it. It's so long ago, whatever. She goes, no, like, can I have it? I'm like,
can you have the shirt off my back? No.
Like,
That's it. Do you
Maybe not.
what? Yeah, that's.
I remember here. I got another one real quick. I remember we were playing this show, and this bless his heart. Sometimes people come up to us and try to talk to me while I'm currently singing, and I'm like, I can't talk to you right now.
That's the worst.
This drunk guy came up and he kept trying to like ask for songs.
Yeah.
And when they do that, I literally just point at someone who's not singing, like, no, you go talk to them.
Yeah.
And so he kept asking us to play these like super crazy obscure songs no one had ever heard of. And then we were finally like, look, I'm sorry, but like you need to, leave us alone. Like he came up like 5 times within 3 songs. And then when we took our break, my drummer walked up
not me.
to the bar. Yeah, our old drummer walked up to the bar and was getting a glass of water, and that guy was sitting right next to him, and I saw he was like talking to him. My drummer kind of was like, and I heard he was getting loud, so I came over and I was like, oh hey man, come on, we gotta get back on stage real quick just to like get him out of it. And then I was like, what was wrong? Why is he yelling? He's like, well, he kept asking me for more songs I didn't know, and then when I told him we didn't know any of the songs he asked for, he's like, you guys are millennials, you should know every song that exists. And I was like, oh yeah, that's A-class big brain right there, because that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it was either Ray Flanagan or Brent Kirby was like labeled that the ask hole, who asks you stuff while you're playing. I
had a drunk guy put a $20 bill, which was very nice, in my water cup, because I have a swirly gig that sits on my mic stand.
Yeah.
And he walked up, and I guess he thought that was the tip jar, and then just my brand new cup of water just put a $20 bill in there, and I was like, oh, thanks. And then I had to pour that water out and try that bill.
Shake off that $20 bill.
$20.
I still got the $20.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a $20 wash job, that's great.
Got a little bath before I got it.
Yeah, just it's the cleanest money you made that night. I don't know.
Exactly.
I found this article on you guys, and there was a crazy gig story. You can denounce or expand upon it, but it says Rachel has said your first kiss and first breakup was at a gig. Is this true?
Really? I think you told me that. Yeah.
Can't.
It says she had a gig on her high school graduation day as well as her 16th/18th and 21st birthday.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know if that's if.
That was such a weird day, my graduation, because first of all, I mean, I finished high school because I think, obviously a basic education is important, but I didn't really care. And I had one of the biggest graduating classes in my high school that year. It was 500 kids.
Jesus.
And so my last name is C, so I got mine pretty early, and then I just passed out for the rest of the thing and woke up at the Z's.
Yeah.
And then I left, stopped at Arby's, and this is a little weird. I have a chronic migraine thing, and it sometimes makes me sick to my stomach, and I had one that day. Yeah. And so I went to Arby's, didn't eat, got sick in the parking lot, and then went and played a show, which was also my graduation party.
Wow, geez. Does that migraine thing still affect you now, or did you kind of overcome that?
I have a whole bunch of weird stories. I remember we were playing this outdoor show once, and it gets worse if I'm in really bad heat.
Yeah.
And it was outside in the middle of summer, and it was very hot out, and I had already had a migraine, and so we were very close to the end of the set, and then my manager comes up, and they're like, "Oh, well, hey, just so you know, you guys have to do at least 2 more songs. You're ending a little early. And I look at them and I'm like, I want you to know, I can feel it in my body. I'm going to get sick within the next song.
Jeez,
and they're like, no, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. And then we started playing the song, and I got to the first verse, and then I look over at my guitarist and say, just keep playing. And then I walked off stage and puked in the parking lot, and then had to get back on stage and finish the set.
The most rock and roll story ever.
Very rock and roll. But it's not like drugs. It's just chronic migraines.
No, and I think that's important because there's a lot of people that deal with that. And, like, you know, I mean, just knowing that someone like you was going through it and that you can get through it, you know, you just throw up and come back on
some water
stage.
and blast
Like,
it out.
That's important. It's important to keep that in the foresight because a lot of people are. I can't imagine like migraines like that. I get a little headache and I'm like, I hate everything. But like to have something like that intense would drive me bonkers. So cheers to you for pulling through and doing that. Like that's dedication and definitely hard work. And like that the article I pulled up was a WKSU 89.7 art write up about you guys.
Wow, that was so long ago. Oh my gosh.
Actually, though, it says 2019.
Wait, what am I thinking about then? I must be thinking of a different college then.
Yeah,
because we have a couple college stations we kind of bounce around between.
Gotcha. But I was like, whoa, that's a crazy gig.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, it's really funny because I've had just a really insane life, honestly. And I think because it's been so crazy, I don't realize how crazy it is.
Yeah.
And then I start telling people stories, and they're like, that's insane. I've never had anything like that happen. I'm like, I got 20 more stories for you right now.
That's all. You got the less scenic route. That will be like the opposite book to the scenic route.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Or the spinal tap route. That's where all these stories come down. Well, all right, guys. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking your time out and chatting with me.
Yeah, this has been a good time.